Hey, you guys on social media, sorry, I didn't hit the button. You guys got us late to the party right there. But this is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC, and we're getting started here on this Monday. It's July 8th, and we've been so busy all day long that I'm just glad to be on the show. I'm glad to be on the show and just talk about chiropractic. I'm glad to be on the show, just talk about health and wellness. That's what we do on our show. We just talk about health and wellness. And we just talk about all of the things that have to do with health and wellness. And it's a broad field. There's a lot of areas that we try to cover on our show. And I'm glad to be here talking about it. I've got a very interesting article I want to share with you tonight. But the question I asked for you guys that were late to the social media, the question I asked was, did you eat clean this weekend and how do you feel? So you can send me a message through social media. You can send me a text at 806-794-0400. One of my first 3 or 4 people I saw this morning, I asked him, did you eat clean? And he was like, nope, I ate a ton of sugar this weekend. And then he said, and I ate so much sugar, my hands got inflamed and stiff. And I was like, yeah, you know what else got inflamed and stiff? Your brain. Your brain got inflamed and stiff. How much alcohol did you have this weekend? And really, did it serve you? Did it make you feel good about yourself? Did it make you feel good about your loved ones and all that stuff? Or can we have a great conversation on a Monday where we've been through this weekend and we can say, you know what? I really believe that what that boy is talking about might actually, what my dad used to say, is a bone with some meat on it right there, right? Maybe it's actually true that we can, like, these choices that we're making for ourselves are killing us. They're really killing us. And I think he's right. I think there's a better way. I think that what exactly did that all of that alcohol do for me this weekend? Did it really serve me? Did it really make my life better? Did it really get me away from all of the misery and pain that goes along with life? Or did it just make things more complicated? Did I feel better Friday morning waking up, Saturday morning waking up after I ate all that sugar and drank all that alcohol? Probably not, right? We probably didn't. So now, hey, this is a fabulous time because it's a great opportunity to look back and say, hey, you know what? I didn't really. It wasn't really all that great for me. It really wasn't. I don't really think I need to eat all of that ice cream, and I don't. I know. I'm trying. I'm out there. I'm putting it out into the airwaves. I'm putting this idea that maybe we just rock along with all of these holidays, and we don't really think about what it's doing to our bodies, and um, and then it complicates things when our joint pain happens, and it's really detrimental to our liver. I don't know, like I really, if you want to know a lot about it, if you want to know what's going on, go to our website, the rockhealthandwellness.com. We've got 2 different websites. We've got one that's geared more towards the people inside the office, and we got one that's geared more towards people outside the office. And the rockhealthandwellness.com is our website, and you can go there and you can click on videos, and you'll see the Robert Lustig video of Sugar the Bitter Truth. I'll look it up right now. Health and wellness.com. And you can find that article of Sugar the Bitter Truth. Just go over there. It's all the way over on more. There's a tab that says more. You can click on videos, and then that first one right there, Sugar the Bitter Truth, and and you can watch that video, and it will explain to you today, because you want to do it today if you can. You want to try to do it this week if it's possible, because you want to come off of this long weekend where we had a lot of people had a lot of time off. A lot of people got the extra day off on Friday, and there wasn't a whole lot of stuff going on in a lot of people's lives. this weekend. So we had this opportunity today to really look back and say, you know what are the valuable things of this weekend? The valuable things of this weekend were spending time with my family. The valuable times of this weekend were the rest that I got, the valuable times that are getting to go someplace, or being with my community, or celebrating our country's independence, or those are those valuable things that we have, right? Where does the sugar and the alcohol fit into that? And could you have had? I just want to present it for your consideration. Could you have had just as awesome a weekend without the sugar and the alcohol? We had this conversation this afternoon. One of my brand new people that just started with me, and I said, so today was her second visit, and I said to her, "Well, did you get rid of all those sodas since the last time I saw you?" And she just kind of laughed and she said, "Well, not all of them, but," and she said, "There's just sometimes I just have such an urge to get them." And I was like, "Okay, well, let's talk about that. What is that urge that we have to drink that soda?" The urge that we have neurologically and physiologically inside our body, but mainly neurologically, is a decrease in dopamine in the left hemisphere. Let's just all own that. Let's own that. If you're listening to me anywhere on the social media, on Twitter, on the radio, anywhere like that, that urge is not innate. Think about it. Your DNA was made thousands of years ago, maybe longer. I don't know. Maybe millions of years ago. I don't know when your DNA was made, but it was made a long time before sodas were ever invented. So you do not have a natural urge to drink a soda. It's not natural. So what has happened? Your brain has taken this sugary soda and it's matched it up with what you get from the sugary soda, which is the dopamine. That sensation of motivating factor that goes along with that soda. That's what's actually happening in our brains. When we feel the need for alcohol, we don't, it's not innate. It's never been innate. I never have understood, even when I was growing up, because I'm a person that I didn't drink a single drop of alcohol before I was 21 years old. And I've had about 1/3 of a cold beer in my entire life. That's the only beer I've ever had. Now I've had some margaritas and some mixed drinks and stuff, and when I used to drink alcohol, and that was years ago. And and now I can't imagine I can't imagine the scenario by which I'm going to drink another alcoholic drink in my entire life. I literally can't think of why I would do that, because it's not. I've gotten to the point where it's not adding anything to me. It's really not. So, but what I didn't understand is the idea when I was growing up, and people said, "Well, you gotta. It's an acquired taste." What the heck does that mean? It's an acquired taste? Like what? Yeah. I have to acquire that in order to somehow suck some sort of goodness out of that deal. No, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. Come on, y'all. That doesn't make any sense. That's not what we want. We're not looking for that. We're not looking for some sort of acquired taste. Yeah, I'm going to live on this earth with all of the things that this earth has to bring for me, and then I'm gonna say that, well, I just acquired a taste for alcohol. No, I didn't. I didn't acquire a taste for alcohol that from an innate. I didn't need that from an innate standpoint. I might have acquired a taste for alcohol, but I didn't need it from an innate standpoint. If you're feeling that urge, just understand that it's neurological. It's neurological. It's in your brain. Your brain is saying to me, I am short on dopamine. So what I had the conversation with the new patient was, look, Can we take these things that toxify us and make us sick and substitute them for things that keep us well? Can we have the same exact experience this weekend without alcohol? Can we have the same exact, if you would have taken a glass of tea and substituted your tea for your alcohol, would you have had the same enjoyable experience that you had with your alcohol? And I'm going to present for your consideration, if you will just try it for a bit, you will find out that you can have the same enjoyable experience. You can have the same social interactions. You can have the same. I went to that wedding at Texas A&M a couple weeks ago. It wasn't at Texas A&M. It was my cousin got married, but that they was in a church, and then the reception was at the Equine Center at Texas A&M. And we went to the reception, and I had a great time at the reception. I got to see my cousins. I got to see my uncle and my aunt. I got to Leslie and I did a little dancing. It was such a good time. I really enjoyed it. I even got a fondness for the Aggies that I never had in my whole life. The whole thing was beautiful. The whole thing was beautiful. And I didn't have one single drop of alcohol. And I don't even know if there was anybody else either. I'm sure there was somebody else in the room that didn't have any of it. But the majority of the people in the room drank all night long. And when they get sick, when they get gout, when they get cardiovascular disease, when they get cancer, when they get Alzheimer's disease, when their body breaks down, when they cause a wreck, when they get divorced, when their kids grow up to follow in their footsteps, when all of those things happen, I'm going to present for consideration that they're going to look back and say, man, I really wish I wouldn't have made that choice. I really wish I would have had somebody. Is there anybody out there who will come out as a grown man with a doctorate degree that says, dude, you don't have to do that. We don't have to live in the bondage of alcohol. We don't have to live in the bondage. And I'm not trying to preach to you. I'm not really not. I'm just trying to share an idea with you. I'm trying to share an idea with you that you don't have to live in the bondage of sugar. My guy talked about having s'mores with all his kids in the neighborhood. He invited all the kids in the neighborhood to come over and have s'mores. Like if I said we were going to just invite all the kids in the neighborhood to come over and have some crack, how would that go? How would that go over? How about smoking weed? We're just going to have all the kids in the neighborhood come over to the house and smoke some weed tonight. Would you say, you are not going over there and doing that? Right? But if we decide we're going to give them sugar, it doesn't. So I just think today is a great day. I think it's a great day to look back on it and say, man, could I have done that better with less toxifying results? And for all you guys that did it without the toxifying results, you know exactly how we feel this morning, right? You have all the energy. You didn't get knocked off your game. You're not dragging today. It's 7:00, 6:21 in Texas, in Lubbock. It's like, hey, we're good to go. We've been going all day long. Got to the building at 5:40 this morning. Been solid busy all day long. And had a new patient, doing a radio show. Don't need it. Don't need it. I don't need it whatsoever. So anyway, I'm not trying to preach. I'm really not trying to preach. I'm not making judgments. I'm not throwing stones. I'm not criticizing you. If you choose to participate in all of those things, I'm just trying to present for consideration an idea that there's a different way to live that will take us to a different standard of living. I really believe that. I think that we've gotten so used to. What I hear about all those things is that, life is suffering, life is hard, life sucks, and I just need something to get me through. I just can't. I hate Mondays, hump days. I can't wait to get through hump days, and then thank God it's Friday, right? What? Well, I just want to present for you. And I know I won't present it in a massive format because there's too much energy coming against it, the idea. But I'm just trying to present it for you as an individual. If you're listening to or watching the show as an individual somewhere, and you're wondering, like, could I be better? Could the world be better? Could could I, is it worth it? Is it worth it to try to be better? Those are the, and I just want to present that I think yes, I really do. I think the few of us that finally break through those chains can bring the existence of the human existence to another level. And that's why I do the show. That's why I share this with you. 27 months ago, I decided to quit eating sugar. I didn't decide to quit eating sugar for 52 years of my life, 51 years of my life, whatever it was. But I finally decided to quit eating sugar. Didn't have a cookie this weekend. Didn't have any ice cream. What is this, the third 4th of July in a row that made it all the way through without any of that stuff. Didn't subluxate myself with chemical stress in that realm. And you can do it too if you're interested. If you're interested in doing it, you can make your life better. Like, I really believe that. Like, I really do believe you can make your life better. And some of you are making your life better. And I really appreciate you for doing that, because it's like, hey, dude, I wonder what we could be if we were as good as we could be. Right? Okay. Just to give you an update, not trying to kill the vibe or anything, but my brother-in-law did pass away this week on 4th of July. Rick Housewright, the guy that got me into chiropractic, really, the guy that molded me when I was a young chiropractor, the guy that set the standard for what that I tried to, I guess, emulate as a young chiropractor. The guy that introduced me to John Demartini and the balance of life and all of the things that I've learned from John Demartini, and the guy that spent countless hours at coffee shops and sitting together talking about chiropractic. He was one of the few people on the planet that I could actually talk about chiropractic with. He was a true believer in chiropractic. He had a love for chiropractic that he shared with a lot of us who ended up going to be chiropractors. And we're going to miss him. His family's going to miss him. It's a loss to us all, but we know where heaven is, and we know what that whole thing's about. And he just went home for a while. That's it. And we're going to stay down here and we're going to play for a while. And then when we're done, we'll go meet up. That's the way I see that thing. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it as far as that is concerned. But I might have more to say about that tomorrow night. Maybe put some thoughts together, because there's a lot. I could do an entire show. I could probably do an entire week of all the things chiropractically that I learned from him. And I've talked about him a lot, but he got a glioblastoma in September. He started slurring his words. He started losing his words. He started losing the ability to speak his words, and then ended up having a brain tumor. Why he had a brain tumor, I don't know. I don't have any idea. There's glioblastomas have been around for a long time. So he could have gotten it from lots of different reasons. But the bad part about it was it could have been involved with that virus too, and the making of that virus. And if that was the case, if that really was the case, and it had anything to do with that virus, I think every single human being that had anything to do with making that virus should be thrown under the jail. Like, all of them. Like, I think somebody out there ought to try to see if that is the case, because the disruption. He wasn't a vaccinated person. He didn't take that boy didn't take drugs. He was all about the innate intelligence of the body, but that ended up, something got him. And so I don't want to get too far into that tonight, but I appreciate him. I'm sorry that this happened to him. But just to feed off of that for just a second, because he started slurring his words, and he started losing. He couldn't think of a word he was trying to say. And that is a left hemisphere, right hemisphere conversation going back and forth. And it ended up that he had that tumor on the left side of his brain. And he had a big scar when he removed it. And then once they removed it, if you remove a glioblastoma, it just comes back super fast. And that's exactly what happened. They removed it like December 3rd or something like that. And by February, it was 6 times bigger than it was in the very beginning. But it was disrupting his ability to speak and to get the words out, which is a left hemisphere thing. But it was also disrupting the ability of the right hemisphere to tell him what the word was. There was a communication between the right side and the left side hemisphere. And that's part of the education that I try to bring to you guys, is to share with you those things. That's why the whole up and to the right, over to the left, all of the things that go along with that, the more that we know about that, the more that we understand about that, the better off we can get along with each other. The better off we can make decisions for ourselves, the better we can make decisions for ourselves. If we can really start to understand how this is working, and I know that a lot of you are so super busy doing your own things and in your own lives that you don't have time to study all of the things that nerds like myself like to study. I get that. That makes total sense to me. I mean, like, I literally know nothing about engines. I've told you that before. Like, I'm not very good with electrical work. I don't know much about that at all. There's one lady asked me today if I knew anything about arnica, and I'm like, not really. I don't really know much about arnica. I think that's an herb or a supplement or something. And she was like, "There's just so much you don't know." And I laughed. I was like, that's 100% true. There's a lot that I don't know. I mean, there's a lot out there. There's a whole entire planet full of stuff out there. And it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any difference how much you study. At the end of it, you're never going to know it all. So I thought that was pretty funny the way she said that, and I 100% agree with her. I'm like, yep, I just haven't broken down Arctica. Never had a reason to think about it. Maybe I should do that tonight. Maybe I should do that on the show. We could break it down. But I think if you do know some of it, and you can start to understand it. That's why the sugar. That's the one thing that people don't really understand, is that you can have a tumor on the left side of your brain and it can disrupt the way that you can speak. Or you can eat a lot of sugar this weekend and show up on Monday with swollen hands and an inflamed brain. Did you know that alcohol inflames your body? Did you know that alcohol inflames your liver? Did you know that alcohol processing inside the liver leads to VLDL cholesterol, which leads to citrate, which leads to VLDL cholesterol? Did you know that alcohol processing in the liver is first of all, why would the body process it in the liver? And why does the body process half of sugar in your liver? And why is sugar exactly the same to the liver as alcohol is? Do you know that you get cirrhosis of the liver by drinking too much alcohol, and you get cirrhosis of the liver by eating too much sugar? Did you know those two things happen together? They're the same. And I've had family members, my father-in-law died from cirrhosis of the liver and diabetes, and he didn't drink alcohol.
Radio. You're listening to 98.7 FM. Walk by Faith Radio.
Hey, it's Lauren with the Home Zones. Sizzling summer savings going on now. Amana washer and dryers as low as $9.59. Dining rooms as low as $4.99. Ashley sofa chase $5.99. Cash and carry. Lowest cash and carry prices in town or easy in-house financing. Rebuild your credit with low down payments and low monthly payments. Unbeatable, friendly, ongoing customer service. Texas Tech alumni owned and operated. Guarantee we will save you money. The Home Zone, 50th in Indiana, or check out our website at homezonetx.com. The Home Zone, helping you make your house a home.
They don't build cars like they used to, and they don't repair them like they used to either. Today's vehicles contain advanced materials and safety features like crumple zones and sensors. Repairing them after a collision requires up-to-date training. Hub City Body Shop has it. We're among only 15% of shops to meet the industry's highest training standards as a gold-class business. Make the smart choice for your family's safety. Choose Hub City Body Shop.
Do you love the Word of God? Do you have a desire to study the Word of God more deeply? My name is Pastor Matt. I'm the pastor at Flatland Bible Church. If you answered yes to those questions, then we'd like to invite you to tune in on Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. right here on Walk by Faith Radio as we dive deep into the Word of God that we might know and love the God of the Word. If you'd like to find out more information about our church, you can find us on Facebook or head to flatlandbible.com.
As a business owner, you can make an impact by aligning your advertising dollars with causes you believe in. That's where Walk by Faith Radio comes in. Our dedicated listeners are passionate about Christian conservative talk and contemporary Christian music. They actively support businesses that share their values, and they would love to support yours too. Join forces with the good people at Walk by Faith Radio and let our audience become your loyal customers. Contact me, Micah Wyatt, at 806-632-3268. That's Michael Wyatt at 806-632-3268.
Walk by Faith Radio, 98.7 FM.
Article right there, but I'll read through this. It says association of daily sitting time and coffee consumption with risk of all causes and cardiovascular disease and mortality among U.S. adults. This is a BMC published on April 17, 2024, volume 24, number 1, article 1069. That's where we got it from, and all these guys on this list appear to be Chinese of some sort. There's some ZhouNiecao. Zhang looks like some chins. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce all those words, but there's not. They seem to be. They seem to be Chinese. This site, the study cites 70 references. This study is a prospective cohort analysis of 10,639 U.S. adults to evaluate the independent and joint association of daily sitting time and coffee intake with mortality for all cause and cardiovascular disease with a follow-up period of up to 13 years. So that's pretty cool. There's 10,000 people in the study. They studied them and followed them up over 13 years right there. First study, this is the first study to investigate the joint associations of daily sitting time and coffee consumption with all-cause and cardiovascular disease mortality. So, let's just keep going. Prolonged sitting was defined as sitting for more than 6 hours per day. That's what they're talking about. If you're sitting more than 6 hours per day, and you're like, well, who does that? Well, a lot of people do that. A lot of people sit for 6 hours a day. Mostly people who are working at a desk, working computer jobs. You got some sort of desk job. Maybe you're working at a computer place, or maybe you're a receptionist someplace, or you're a reception in a law office or a chiropractic office, or any of those places. You could very easily sit for probably 8 hours a day, right? So this is prolonged sitting was defined as sitting for more than 6 hours a day. Coffee consumers were divided into 4 groups by quartiles of coffee consumption. Number 1 was non-consumers of coffee. Number 2 was less than 326 grams per day. Number 3 was 326 to 540 grams per day. That is 11 ounces to 19 ounces, 1.5 to 2.5 cups of coffee. And number 4 was greater than 540 grams per day, which is 19 ounces or 2.5 cups. So if you had more than 2.5 cups per day. The authors adjusted the socio-demographic characteristics for all the different things: smoking, alcohol consumption, blood pressure, eating habits, all that sort of thing. And so they get into some definitions. They get into some key points from the article. Sedentary behavior has been demonstrated to be a modifiable factor for several chronic diseases. Now, we know that that's true, right? We know that when we sit down and we don't move, we increase our chances of becoming chronically ill. And I heard a statement one time, and I don't know if this is actually factual, but I heard a statement one time, and it said if you take any animal and put them in captivity, that animal will start to develop chronic disease. And that came from, I think it was Dr. Chestnut that said that. And if it wasn't, I apologize. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but over 24 years of listening to a lot of people speak. Sometimes I don't remember exactly who said what I heard, but we know that sedentary behavior is not good for us. That's what happens to old people, right? Old people, all of a sudden, my bad. That's what happens to people that retire. I shouldn't have said old people. I apologize for that. Yeah, when you retire and you don't have a job anymore and you don't have anything to do, you have a tendency of sitting. And that sedentary lifestyle is going to start to accelerate all of those things that you've been keeping at bay because you've been moving your whole life. Regardless of physical activity, prolonged sitting is independently associated with harmful health outcomes, including cancerous, metabolic, and cardiovascular disease. And I, it always shocks me just a little bit in my brain, because last week we talked about the subluxation being related to cancer, and the overfiring and the overstimulation of the sympathetic nervous system and its relationship to cancer. So here's another one right here. Regardless of physical activity, prolonged sitting is independently associated with harmful health outcomes, including cancerous, metabolic, and cardiovascular diseases. So I heard a guy one time say, "I caught the cancer." And I thought to myself, did you really catch the cancer, or did you actively develop your cancer? I don't know. That's the thing about my brother-in-law. I don't know why he manifested a brain tumor. It really trips me up. It trips me up to wonder all of the mechanisms of why he developed a brain tumor. What did his body manifest? And if he was here today to have this conversation, we'd have a great conversation about it, because we had conversations like this over the last 30 something years. But I don't necessarily know if we think that we're actively harboring, if we're actively manifesting cancer. I don't know that we realize that. I think we just think, I just got unlucky and I got cancer. Well, a sedentary lifestyle has some association with it. Sedentary behavior is associated with the increase of all-cause mortality in the general population. Adults who sit for long periods, greater than 8 hours a day, have an increased risk of all-cause and cardiovascular mortality. Now, coffee consumption is believed to be beneficial for health. Now, this is just a quote from the article. It's believed to be beneficial. Coffee is one of the most widely consumed beverages in the world and amongst the population of the United States. Coffee, which is rich in bioactive substances such as caffeine, I don't know how you say that word, phenolic compounds and minerals with a wide range of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory effects has been shown to improve insulin resistance and glucose metabolism. There is growing evidence that drinking coffee significantly reduces morbidity and mortality from chronic diseases due to its powerful antioxidant properties. There's high antioxidants in coffee. The antioxidants have powerful properties that help us with health. That's the combination. That's where it all starts to tie. That's the tie in again, once again, that we talk about, where we talk about the fish oil and the mitochondria, the antioxidants and the free radicals that attack the mitochondria, right? So when I hear a sentence that says that something has powerful antioxidant properties and it helps with insulin resistance and glucose metabolism, where I go to is, if it's antioxidant metabolism, then it's helping protect that mitochondria. So what else helps to protect the mitochondria? That's where the fish oil comes in, and balancing the 6-3 ratio and keeping the sixes down, keeping your vegetable oils and your peanut butter and those things that are high in omega-6s, keeping them down, right? That's where in my brain, when I'm reading through these articles like this and they tie in together like that, that's part of the strengthening of understanding for me. That's just the strengthening of understanding. In cohort studies worldwide, coffee consumption has been associated with reduced mortality from all-cause and cardiovascular disease. Coffee consumption reduces the risk of metabolic syndrome, which aggravates inflammation. Coffee consumption reduces the risk of metabolic syndrome. It also has powerful antioxidant properties and glucose metabolism. That's when you understand the positives of things, then you can understand how irritating it is to find out that metformin destroys mitochondria in the liver. See, like, you did not get told that. And I'm not going to get on a soapbox tonight, but you did not get told from your doctor that the way that metformin helps you control your glucose metabolism is by destroying your mitochondria in your liver, which causes the liver cell not to function properly. And now the liver cell can't put glucose back into your bloodstream, right? That should irritate you just a little bit. So what are other ways that we can help glucose metabolism? Well, coffee's been shown to be one of them. An inverse relationship between coffee consumption with all-cause and cardiovascular mortality has been found in adults in many studies. So the next step, the joint associations of daily sitting time and coffee consumption with mortality remains poorly and misunderstood. Sedentary behavior and coffee consumption are becoming more common. So that's another thing. If I sit around all day long, but then I drink a lot of coffee, is that helping me or hurting me? Coffee consumption seems to have a protective effect. So they presented a few prior studies, and they said in these prior studies, prolonged and uninterrupted sitting appears to impair glucose metabolism and increase inflammation. Prolonged and uninterrupted sitting appears to impair glucose metabolism and increase inflammation. What does prolonged and uninterrupted sitting do to your brain? It decreases your brain activity. So when you decrease your brain activity, then you increase your glucose, you impair your glucose metabolism, and you increase your inflammation when it's in your brain, because that's what not moving does to you. Sedentary behavior is crucial and independent predictor of inflammation, as it produces pro-inflammatory markers. And if you wanted to go back and watch the shows from last week and see what increased sympathetic stress does to pro-inflammatory markers, And if you want to go back and break down what increased omega-6 fatty acids does to pro-inflammatory markers, and if you want to see what stress does, which is the firing of the sympathetic nervous system, to pro-inflammatory markers, they all work together, right? Sedentary lifestyle, it does the same thing. Sedentary behavior alters the metabolism of skeletal muscle, and for each hour more spent sitting or lying in a prone position during waking hours, metabolic risk increased by 39%, almost 40% of risk. Physical inactivity itself is a direct cause of accelerated cardiovascular disease, shortening health lifespan, and lowering the age of onset of first chronic disease. I've got a guy that started with me who's going to be 78 years old this year. And I'm not going to mention his name. Like, I never mention people's names that are patients of mine on the show, but I share this information with you because this one individual could blow the living doors off so many people's thought processes and what they think is happening with a spine and what actually manifests itself. And this individual does, I think he did 4 sets of 60 sit-ups every day. No, maybe not every day, but multiple times, 3 times a week, I think he said, because he does his workout on the other days. But I'll ask him and make sure, and I'll get it straight before. But that's 240 sit-ups that he's doing, and like there's 150 push-ups or 100 push-ups, I think maybe he said. He is so fit that the underlying deterioration in his spine is the underlying deterioration in his spine is horrible. It is horrible. But he is so fit that it doesn't manifest any problems, very little problems in his life. It doesn't manifest I don't know how to say it. It barely manifests anything to him because he is so fit. Physical inactivity, that's the flip side of this guy. Physical inactivity is a direct cause of accelerating cardiovascular disease. There's not a neutral in health. The one thing that I really can't get people to understand is that you're either moving forward or you're moving backward. It's not a neutral. And it's not, well, I'll just make the decision tomorrow. That's not how it works. You don't make the decision tomorrow. You're making the decision right now. You're actively making the decision as you watch the show, as you listen to the show, as you are whatever you're eating right now. 6:50. Hopefully a lot of you guys have had supper by now. You're actively making a choice whether you're moving yourself toward health and wellness or whether you're moving yourself away from health and wellness. That's why I don't believe in moderation. I think that's stupid. I really do. I think it's stupid. I don't think the people that say it are stupid. I love the people that say it. I think the concept of it is everything in moderation to me is hogwash. It's not true. You can't do sick things in moderation and not move yourself towards sickness. It's not possible. It's not possible to do that. So, physical inactivity itself is a direct cause of accelerating cardiovascular disease, shortening health lifespan, and lowering the age of onset of the first chronic disease. It's the lowering of the age of the onset of the first chronic disease. When did you get your cardiovascular disease? At what age? When did you get your first diagnosis of your chronic disease, of your diabetes? What age? And what if we put ourselves in an environment that was congruent with health? Do you think maybe we would push that onset to later in life? Maybe that onset wouldn't show up till we were 110. Maybe that onset wouldn't show up until we were 120. What is the possibility that we could do if we were to understand the mechanisms that bring that onset down to a lower position? Why is it 60? Why is it 55? Why is it 45? Right? Physical inactivity affected an individual's phenotype, organ system, and disease, including behavior, central nervous system, cardiorespiratory fitness, skeletal muscle, metabolism, bone, immunity, adipose digestion. The results from a class of double level bus study in 1953 showed that the results of a classic double level bus study in 1953, that's a 2-level bus, I didn't understand what that meant at first, showed that the conductor had a 30% reduction in the incidence of coronary heart disease compared to drivers when drivers sat and conductors walked up and down the stairs. If you guys want to see an awesome example of this, is watch that show Living to 100 on Netflix, the Blue Zone one, and watch for those people in Okinawa and watch what they do. They sit on the floor. They don't have chairs. They sit on the floor on pillows on the floor. They have to get off the floor and get up and sit back down and get up and sit back down over and over and over again. And they end up living longer than anybody else on the planet, the people in Okinawa. Yeah. Sedentary behavior has been shown to increase the risk of all-cause mortality. Yes, we've talked about it. Conversely, coffee intake has been observed to reduce the risk. Both sedentary behavior and coffee consumption have been demonstrated to display an effect on inflammation-related biomarkers. So here's what it talks about with coffee. Over 1,000 compounds can be found in coffee. The most popular are caffeine, chlorogenic acid, trigonoid melanoids. I don't even know what all that is. There's a bunch of stuff in which all have anti-inflammatory properties. When she said I didn't know anything about arnica, she was right. There's a lot of words I don't understand either. That's the same thing they try to trick me with in chiropractic school. That's the same thing they try to hold me down with when I thought about going to chiropractic school. I had to sit in the library in chiropractic school and look at these words. I remember having this conversation with myself. I told you guys this. I had this conversation with myself that, look, there's just 26 letters. Look, I could figure out all these words if I had time to do it, but I don't care. And I'm not afraid to go on the whole wide world web. I'm not afraid to come do a show in front of God and the entire universe and not know the words. You know why? Because you, look at me, you, listen to me, are more important to me than that. Me being perfect and knowing how to say all these words that I can't even pronounce, a lot of them, is less of importance to me than to share the idea of the article with you. That's the way I feel about that. So anybody who says this boy's an idiot, I don't disagree with that. But the point is, did you listen to the story? And did you understand that they have anti-inflammatory properties? Unfiltered coffee containing a couple of different things prevent inflammation-related diseases by reducing inflammatory responses. There are many important biological pathways involved in inflammation that are regulated by these components inside of coffee that are very important compounds in coffee. It is believed that coffee consumption increased the level of the SIRT1, a protein with anti-inflammatory properties. So here's the findings. The findings compared with those sitting for less than 4 hours a day. So sitting more than 8 hours increased the risk of all-cause mortality by 46%. How important is it to get on your feet and move your feet? It's 46% increase in all-cause mortality. Sitting more than 8 hours a day increased risk of cardiovascular disease mortality by 79%. 79%. People with the highest quartile of coffee consumption had reduced risk of all-cause mortality by 33% compared with non-coffee consumers. Now, you guys know that I quit coffee for a while because I wanted to be free from the addiction of coffee. So I broke myself free from that addiction of coffee, and now I enjoy my coffee again, but I do it on my terms, not on the addiction terms. People with the highest quartile of coffee consumption had reduced risk of all-cause mortality by 33% compared with non-coffee drinkers. I said that. People with the highest quartile of coffee consumption had reduced risk of cardiovascular mortality by 54% compared with non-coffee drinkers. 52% of the U.S. adults were coffee consumers. 48% of the U.S. adults reported sitting for more than 6 hours a day. 23% of the U.S. adults reported both sitting for more than 6 hours and had no coffee consumption. So there's your real problem, people. The people that aren't drinking coffee and the ones that are sitting for longer times. The association of sedentary with increased mortality was only observed among adults with no coffee consumption, but not among those who had coffee intake. The association of sedentary with increased mortality was only observed among adults with no coffee consumption. That's really interesting. In this study, the highest quartile of coffee consumption was inversely correlated with all-cause mortality compared with non-coffee drinkers by 33%. So what's it saying? A study identified that if you're not moving, you're increasing your chances of getting cardiovascular disease and all-cause mortality. Longer sitting time was associated with elevated risk for all-cause mortality among those who were non-coffee consumers, while sitting time was not associated with all-cause mortality among adults with the highest quartile of coffee intake. That's an interesting sentence right there. If you drink coffee, then those other things, the sedentary lifestyles, decrease in their correlation with you, in their association with you. Make sure I get all those words right. So if you're now, one thing you got to understand is you can't fill your coffee with cream and sugar. It's not coffee if it's cream and sugar. If you're filling your coffee with cream and sugar, you're toxic.